International News Review.
Welcome back to Saturday mornings here on Money FM 89.3. Time for our International News Review with Steve Okun. Good morning, Steve.
Hi, Glenn. Hi, Neil. Hi, Tricia. Hi, Nora. Hi, Aloysius. Hi, James.
Well, it's one big happy family here, minus that. What was his name?
You missed Rohit. You missed Rohit at all. He's sailing. He's got to take us on his boat.
You guys cut me off. You cut me off. I'm trying to bring the Kampong spirit to the international.
That's it.
Christopher and Rob and so many folks.
The Kampong spirit, minus that guy who used to work with us. What was his name?
Don't remember.
I don't remember. He never brought us tea though. Coffee, I should say.
All right, let's move on. Hey, we've just come off, of course, Chinese New Year around the world, and there is a bill in the U.S. Congress to make Chinese New Year the 12th federal holiday in the U.S. Take us to what's behind this, who's in charge, and does it have a chance of actually becoming a national holiday?
Well, so the bill was introduced by a Taiwanese American member of Congress from Queens, New York. And she has 44 co-sponsors. So there's now, 45 members of the House who would vote for this. It needs to get, up into a couple hundred, half of 435. So a ways to go yet. But she said that she wanted to introduce this and make Lunar New Year. She didn't want to call it Chinese New Year because she wanted it to be a powerful message to all Asian Americans, that it's an inclusion for them, and that this recognition of Lunar New Year would do that. I mean, look, there's a long way to go, but it's a very interesting development of where Asian Americans are in the United States, the recognition of their contributions and for going forward. And so I think it's not going to happen federally anytime soon, but it's interesting to see. New York City schools are closed. It's a school holiday in New York City. It's a school holiday in San Francisco. It's even a school holiday. I was actually shocked to learn this in Iowa City. Iowa City gives Lunar New Year as a state, as a school holiday.
But Steve, this isn't that surprising, the New York part, because when I visited our good friend Colin Goh when he lived in New York, I went to Flushing, Queens. Hadn't been there before. Flushing, Queens now is more Chinese than Singapore. That is not an exaggeration. If you walk down the main street there, the shops are written in Mandarin. You feel like you've walked into China, not Singapore. And it's fantastic. It's multicultural. It's good food and everything else. So, of course, New York recognizes Lunar New Year. But it's a broader question here, Steve, isn't it? That African Americans, quite rightly, has dominated, if you like, the race narrative in terms of discussion and equality in the last 20, 30 years. And Asian Americans do feel with legitimacy that they have been sidelined in the national debate somewhat. And this could go some way to correcting that, couldn't it?
Well, I mean, it's an interesting question in terms of, like, as we Americans celebrate, Martin Luther King Day as a federal holiday. I mean, I look at that as a federal holiday for all, civil rights for everybody. I mean, that's a holiday recognizing who is probably the most powerful person. Arguably, you could argue he's the most powerful person in the history of the United States, because he made such a difference for our country without being ever in elective office, right? Presidents, of course, have that opportunity to shape history, like Abraham Lincoln and George Washington, right, and Franklin Roosevelt. But King did it as a private citizen. So it's amazing what he accomplished. And so you would argue his day is not a black holiday. It's an American holiday about civil rights for everybody. So I don't know that you need another holiday that celebrates that. What's interesting about, Lunar New Year is a holiday is, does that represent all Asians? You can argue Japan doesn't celebrate Lunar New Year. So if you have a Lunar New Year holiday, is that really a holiday for all Asian Americans? I think that's an interesting question to ask as this goes along. But you're seeing it. I think I would almost bet that California, it'll be a state holiday. It's not a state holiday yet in California. Certain schools are closed in California, but government's open. I think it'll start there, and it could move its way across the country.
Yeah. The other interesting thing, and we don't have an answer to it now, what do you do about the changing dates of Lunar New Year, right? It changes every year. So all the other national holidays, it's the X day of X month. And no matter what day of the week that falls on, that's your holiday. But it's a moving target, if I can put it that way, for
I know, Glenn, you're right.
I mean, the Vietnamese New Year is not necessarily the same as the Chinese New Year.
Correct.
There are different dates, different, and so on.
Yeah.
Which is why Americans would have a very difficult time with the lunar holiday, because we don't have a lunar public holiday. The schools can do it. Individual schools can do it. But what's interesting is Cincinnati, which is in the Super Bowl, Cincinnati has already canceled schools on the Monday after the Super Bowl. So if we could cancel schools for the Super Bowl, I think we can cancel schools for people who are celebrating being with their family.
All right, Steve, thank you very much for your time today. We have to leave it there. Steve Okun, Senior Advisor, McClarty Associates, on our International News Review. We'll see you next week.
Bye, Neil. Bye, Glenn. Bye, Nora. Bye, Tricia. Bye, Jane. Bye, Fuji Ren. Bye, Aloysius. Bye, Rose.
Goodbye, Steve.
International News Review